When I look back at the library of the Nintendo Switch, there are a ton of games that I look back at fondly, with ones that I really feel were impressive titles that I put a ton of hours into. What's going on, everybody? I'm Jay. Welcome to Square Pegs. Today we're looking back at the original Nintendo Switch library, and I'm looking at my most played games on the console because it came out at a really interesting time, right? Like, the thing that I loved the most about the Switch was that it was portable. I could take console gaming with me on the go. It wasn't just something that was a stripped down version of a title like we got on the original Game Boy, or something that had to kind of force fit a gimmick into place like the DS or the 3DS. It was console gaming on the go, just obviously with downgraded visuals. And it also kind of hit at the perfect time, didn't it? Because it launched in 2017 or 2018? I think 2017. Yeah, we'll say that. And with that, we had it full swing right in the heart of a pandemic, which means we all played a lot of Animal Crossing. And I don't think there's any denying that for any of us. If we owned a Switch at the time, we all picked up Animal Crossing because we all kind of laughingly thought, oh, the pandemic will be over in a couple weeks. I can play on my island for 2 weeks and get things through. And then 400 hours later, we were all still playing it, waiting for things to actually clear up. And it was a really fortuitous timing for Nintendo there, because I think a lot of people really wanted to play Animal Crossing. They wanted to play something that made them feel cozy and made them feel good. And it worked. Like, man, they crushed it. It was a perfect game for an imperfect time in our history. And I think that also kind of goes hand in hand with this one here, which is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, you're not going to see Tears of the Kingdom on this list because I kind of felt overwhelmed by Tears of the Kingdom. And I did not get into the building mechanic. I'm not really a fan of stuff like that. It didn't really speak to me. It wasn't something I enjoyed. So I played it for about 20 hours, and then that was kind of it. Breath of the Wild, I've got a couple hundred hours into it because I was really wanting to complete as much as I could. And then it just kind of died on me. I finished the game, and I got the Master Quest option, or the whatever the quest option was to go back with, like, the motorcycle and shit like that. And I started playing, and I was just like, nope, I put too much time into this. I don't want to play it again. And it took until the Switch 2 launched with the Switch 2 update for me to actually really get interested in the game again. I played through the Great Plateau last weekend just to see how it looked on the new system, and it looks fantastic with the update. So I'm looking forward to getting back into that, and I might even get Tears of the Kingdom a try again. But outside of, I think, those two, and Mario Kart, let's be honest here. Mario Kart 8 was massive. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I should say, was an absolutely massive game. An install rate that most publishing companies would probably kill nuns for. It was an incredible title, a perfect game for the console, and just a spot-on situation where it was great handheld, it was great on a TV, it was great at any time. You could play it locally, you could play wireless, you could do battle mode, couch co-op, not couch co-op, but, like in-person couch versus games. It was great. It was a fantastic title, still is a fantastic title. And you can kind of see where the bones of that game kind of turned into what we get with Mario Kart World now on the Switch 2. But outside of really those three games, it was kind of a hodgepodge. Like, I was kind of all over the map with stuff, and there were a lot of different games that I really spent a ton of time with, and stuff that I really, really enjoyed. And I want to start things off with what I think is kind of an obvious one if you've been on the channel for a while, and it's the Mega Man contingency, right? We had Mega Man Legacy Collection 1, which gave us Mega Mans 1 through 10. We had Mega Man 11, the new sequel. We had the Mega Man X Legacy Collection. We had the Mega Man ZX and ZX Advent Legacy Collection, or ZX Legacy Collection. And we had the Mega Man Battle Network Collection, all of which I've put tons of hours into, all of which play a little bit differently. Obviously, Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 is my bread and butter. Those are my favorite titles, and I've put a lot of time into those. And, like, the only thing we never got released on the original Switch was a Mega Man Legends Collection. And that's a shame, man, because, like, if we could get a Legends Legacy Collection, that would have been amazing. To get Legends or Mega Man 64, Misadventures of Trombone, and Legends 2 on one collection, that would be incredible. I don't know that we're ever going to see it, just because it's, as fondly as people remember it, it's one of those, it's definitely a case of rose-colored glasses. Those games do not hold up quite as well as I think a lot of us like to pretend they do. I still love Trombone, warts and all, but yeah, there's certainly things there that didn't necessarily translate well into modern gaming, let's put it that way. One of the more recent games on this list, and one that I've put a ton of time into because it was just, they're my favorite games of all time, are Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remasters. I beat the first Suikoden. I put about 40 hours into that. I'm currently playing through Suikoden 2. I've got about 30 hours into that, so it's something that that immediately hooked me again. My favorite RPGs of all time, my favorite stories in video games ever. Love them. Will play them probably for the rest of my life. I go through those games once a year. I complete them to 100%. I get all 108 stars of Destiny in both games every year. It's just second nature now. They're my favorite games for a reason. As a fighting game fan, one of the ones that was played pretty frequently, and not necessarily just by me, but by me and my child, was Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. I love the Smash series. I've loved it since its original days on the N64. I love it here on the Nintendo Switch. I think it is a really fun fighting game that doesn't take itself too seriously. It doesn't lean too heavily into things where it is ultra competitive. It obviously is. I've been to Smash tournaments and stuff like that, but it's something where I just think it's a little bit more of a chill experience overall. And if you're having a different experience than that, your mileage may vary. It could very well be something that you have an ultra competitive Smash scene where you're at, where people are aggressive and jerks. But for me, it's always been something where it's a competitive scene that's good for kids from 5 to 55. You know, it's something where anyone can play it, anyone can have a good time. I love going to Midwest Gaming Classic and seeing the kind of breakout Smash tournaments that happen in the free play area. It's always fun. It's usually where I find my kid. I know that's where my friend Lindsay, where her son ends up going. It's just fun. It's a great title, and with so many unlockable characters and so much DLC on that game, it's kind of astronomical that we got something with that much IP from different companies in it. Like, it's a very consumer-friendly game in that aspect, where there is so much stuff. It's not just strictly Nintendo characters. It's pretty awesome. Here's one that people might get a little bit surprised by, but this is one of my favorite games on the Switch, and it is by far my default go-to game when I have 5 minutes to kill, and that is Star Wars Pinball. I love that game. I love video pinball games. I like the Pinball FX games. I like anything really that is, even the one that used to ship with Windows, I enjoyed. But I really like this one because it gives you like 22, 23 different tables that you can choose from. All of them are themed differently to different Star Wars events, different Star Wars movies or shows or characters. And it's just fun. They're all incredibly well designed. The games are really fun. There's really awesome challenges in each level that you can play. There's different online leaderboards and stuff like that. It's just great. And it's not an expensive title, or at least it didn't used to be. I actually don't know how much it is now, but it's one that you can play normally. You can play it in Tate, sideways. You can play it vertically. It's a really solid game, or something I really truly enjoy, and I love it. It's one that always travels with me when I go away, because it's great for if I'm on a train, if I am in an Uber and I am, like, my social anxiety is really kicking in, I don't want to talk, I can just pop that on and play. It's an awesome game for that. One that hooked me early on the days of the Switch, and one that I go back to, I don't want to say often, but because once you kind of figure out the puzzles, it's not necessarily something that's terribly difficult and doesn't really have a huge compelling amount of gameplay. But if you've never played it before, Untitled Goose Game is brilliant. It is a really fun kind of... It's a deduction game, because you have different objectives in each particular area of the town you have to go to, and you need to figure out how to achieve those objectives. And it requires some kind of outside-of-the-box thinking and some creative kind of setup for these things to happen, and you just basically get to play as a goose terrorist, which, I mean, if you've ever met a Canadian goose, you know that's their default setting anyway, so it's not that big of a stretch, but it's just fun. I just love it. It's ridiculous, it's enjoyable, it's a silly concept, and it works. One that I've tried on other consoles, and it never clicked for me until I got it on the Switch, until I was able to take it with me, until I was able to just kind of sit in the corner on my comfy chair and not have to worry about staring at a TV, is The Witcher 3. And I really like this one because it comes with a bunch of stuff. Like, not only does it come with the game and all of the DLC and all that other stuff, there's like a ton of like extras inside. Like, you get this really cool collector's edition. It comes with a full map of the Northern Realms, which I think is really cool. It comes with a Witcher Universe Compendium, which is awesome. There's a sticker sheet. There's a thank you from CD Projekt Red, which I think is awesome. It was one of those first games that I remember coming out on the Switch and me going, how in the hell did they make that happen? And while there are absolutely visual sacrifices made here, the gameplay is solid. The story is amazing. I really enjoy it. It is one that I hope gets a visual upgrade patch on the Switch 2, because I think if they can get that happening, they're going to have just an absolutely incredible even more incredible title on their hands. Something that is my preferred way to play it, but looking as good as it possibly could. Oh God, that would be amazing. All right, as we've already had Mega Man shown, there are going to be certain areas of this where there's going to be kind of like themed sections, for lack of a better term. Like we've got Mega Man, and now we have the Turtle section. We have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle Sweaters Revenge? No, that's me because it's really goddamn hot. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles The Cowabunga Collection, both of which are incredible. Both of which came out in the same year, which like we were eating good that year. And there's a couple other Turtles games on the Switch as well of varying degrees of excellence. These are my two favorites. Shredder's Revenge is one of the best beat-em-ups of all time. It's an incredible throwback to classic beat-em-up action. It is a game that I frequently play, and it's not just on the Switch. I play it on the Xbox Series X, I play it on the PS5, I play it on Steam, I play it on my Switch. It's just a game that I love, and it's something I go back to constantly. The Switch is the Switch is my most played version of that title. I just love it. And then Cowabunga Collection, I mean, what more could you ask for? It gives you every NES game, every Game Boy game, the SNES games, the Genesis games. It gives you arcade releases, and they're all playable. There's a ton of behind-the-scenes stuff you're able to look at, like box art and manual information and a music jukebox. It's such an incredible collection. It's something we really noticed in Digital Eclipse in this generation, is that we have amazing collections that they help release that have all this incredible behind-the-scenes content on it that just, as a fan of the industry and as someone who used to work in the industry, I find fascinating to be able to review design docs and look at all this incredible stuff that shows how the game was built and how the game was created. Chef's kiss to me. Just incredible stuff. These and the Atari 50th Celebration collections are some of the best. I cannot wait for their Mortal Kombat collection when it releases. This one could probably be in the Mario section. Spoilers, kids. But I'm going to kind of break this off into its own one because it doesn't play like a Mario game. It plays like XCOM. And that is Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle. You can put the sequel on here as well if you want, but it's not something I put a lot of time into. This is one that when it released, I was really fascinated by its content and kind of its creativity because not a huge Rabbids fan, if I'm being honest. I liked Rayman Raving Rabbids when it released on the Wii, but I was kind of a one and done. I didn't really need to go back to the Rabbids universe after that. It wasn't something I needed to spend a ton of time with, and I didn't expect this to be any good, but I love XCOM. I love that type of gameplay, and to combine the Rabbids and Mario into a game like that and to make it work is really impressive. These are love letters to both the Rabbids universe and the Mario universe. They're both fantastic. It's a fantastic kind of concoction that shouldn't work. It's like a dill pickle potato chip. It shouldn't.
Hello, world.
That's my wife.
That's the wife.
That's true.
That's the husband.
Also true. But it's two great tastes that taste great together, but things that shouldn't make sense, like a dill pickle potato chip, something like that, where it's just like, well, all right, that's pretty darn good, isn't it? And I really appreciate it for that, because it was a very ambitious approach to a video game, like taking two different genres that are decidedly not strategy games and turning them into a deep tactical strategy game was pretty baller. I really enjoy that title. Next up, a sequel I never thought I'd get, and one that I put a ton of hours into just because I love the original so much. I love the sequel. I think it's fantastic, and that is New Pokemon Snap. I am a big fan of probably like the first 3 generations of Pokemon. I kind of lose interest after that. I have played most of them, but I don't have the same kind of devotion to the franchise that I did when they first released. But I loved the original Pokemon Snap on the N64. It was one of my absolute favorite games on that console. I loved the stickers you were able to get printed out at Blockbuster. And it was something where I really never thought we'd get a sequel to it. Because, I mean, it's kind of a niche title. It's something that I know a lot of people appreciated, but it wasn't like people were beating down the doors to get a new Pokemon Snap game released. But here it is, and it's fantastic. It plays very true to the original by giving us the core gameplay of what we experienced when it first released, but it also gives us something new by giving us brand new approaches to the way the game is played, by utilizing every button on the controller, and by giving us all new worlds and all new Pokemon to discover. Like, you will not believe the amount of ways you're able to photograph Bidoof in this game. It's magnificent. Absolutely love it. Super fun to play, and it's something where it's a game I appreciate because you don't have to continuously play it to be able to get through it. it's something where you can put it down for 3 or 4 months and then come back to it and just be able to dive right back in. It's that type of game, and it's awesome. One of my newest physical releases, and a lot of my gameplay on this one came from it being digitally, and that is Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, which is one of my all-time favorite video games, one of the best indie games ever released, and something that I think is just an absolutely remarkable title. One of the best platformers ever made, a game that is almost responsible for the resurgence in modern retro-style video games. There's a couple videos I've done on those. Links will be on screen, so if you're interested in checking those out, you can click on those cards as we're going through this if you want to watch those. And it's something where I'm forever astounded by what Yacht Club has been able to pull out of the character, because while they could have really just kind of rested on their laurels and delivered the core game and said, that's it, they're one of those companies that really believed in what they were making and really believed in their Kickstarter approach and delivered every single deliverable that they said they were going to. And that should be commended, because a lot of times companies that go through Kickstarter cut corners and avoid things that they said they were going to be able to do, or cut things for time that they aren't going to be able to implement correctly. And Yacht Club didn't do that, and that should be commended. It's absolutely magnificent. A wonderful game. If you haven't played it, you should. It's something that I think is one of those necessary titles for people to play, and it's a beautiful game, amazing soundtrack, great gameplay all around. It's just wonderful, and its sequels are great too. Now, I am a sucker for Lego games, and I could have held up any of the Lego games that have released on the Nintendo Switch, but the one that I put the most time into is the one that originally released on the console, and that is Lego DC Supervillains. I really liked this one because it kind of switched up the approach of how the games were played, or at least to me. There could be something where it's more familiar to folks that were buying the Lego games as they released. I tended to wait on them. I just bought this one because I'm a big DC fan. And it was one where I really liked the hub world approach. I liked being able to go around and kind of find my way to the different levels as opposed to just going like level by level by level and then going free play. There felt like there was more exploration going on there, and there's more world events happening. I thought that was really cool. I think it looks great. I think it plays great. It's a fun game. I love all the different voices and characters that are in it. It's just awesome. If you like Lego games, you'll love that one. And you like any of the ones on there. I do think probably the best Lego game ever released is Lego Horizon Adventures that's on the Switch. And it is a really interesting style of a game that was developed based on the Lego branding. And I know a lot of that is because of Guerrilla Software kind of doing all the heavy lifting, but it's a really fascinating game and worth checking out. All right, another section, and this is a 2-game section. A couple of collections here featuring one of my favorite handhelds of all time, if not my favorite handheld of all time, Neo Geo Pocket Color Selections Volume 1 and 2. These games are amazing. They give you a bunch of different Neo Geo Pocket Color games on there, and not just US releases. You also get Japanese releases, which I think is amazing. The games play great. They look wonderful. There's a bunch of different filters you can use. You can look at the manuals, the boxes, everything. They're just amazing collections of fantastic games from an underappreciated and just an underloved handheld, and I'm excited to have those. I think they're great. A fantastic platformer in the style of Donkey Kong Country or Super Mario World. To me, it's more Donkey Kong Country. I said Super Mario World when I originally talked about this. I was wrong. It's definitely more Donkey Kong Country, and that is Kaze and the Wild Masks. One of the absolute best 2D platformers on the Switch. It is an independent game that was kind of released out of nowhere, and not one that I had ever really had eyes on. I picked it up on a whim. I saw the cover. I thought it looked interesting, and I decided to give it a go. And what it is one of the strongest platformers I've ever played. The gameplay is solid. There's a bunch of different power-ups you're able to collect. The gameplay is signature Donkey Kong Country style, like to the point where you're collecting letters and finding hidden levels and things like that. It's a really wonderful game, but don't think it just Don't think it just copies off of Donkey Kong Country wholesale. It definitely does its own thing. It's a wonderful game. I can't recommend that one highly enough. It's an absolutely fantastic title. All right, next up we are going to another section, and this is Capcom Collections on the Nintendo Switch, outside of the Mega Man Legacy Collections. These are ones like the Capcom Beat 'em Up bundle, which I don't have physically, I only have digitally. The Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, which again I only have digitally. And then games like Capcom Fighting Collection 2, which just recently came out. The original Capcom Fighting Collection, which gave us Red Earth released on a home console for the first time. And the Marvel vs. Capcom Arcade Classics Collection, which gives us Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and 1, and X-Men vs. Street Fighter, and Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter, and stuff like that. They're brilliant collections, and as a fighting game fanatic and as a beat 'em up fanatic, they are like tailor-made for me. And the gameplay in them is spectacular. If you're looking for the arcade releases, if you're looking for something like A Dreamcast release, you're going to have to go shopping for the Dreamcast releases of them, but if you're just looking for the core gameplay experience, you're going to get that in spades here. And a ton of different things to look at on these games as well, different options, different sidebars, and things like that. They're just good collections, and there's just so many great games. Like, you can play Power Stone on your Switch, man. Like, you can't go wrong with that. Next up, we got a couple of RPGs, and the first one is one from Nintendo that I had tried multiple times, and I just didn't... It kind of like Witcher 3. It just never really clicked for me. The closest it got to clicking for me was the 3DS release, and unfortunately, I just didn't take it with me because it was a lot of game to have on a 3DS, and it chewed through the battery. And that is Xenolade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and love it on the Switch. Absolutely love it. Warts and all. Like, there's a ton of performance issues on it on the Switch. Haven't tried it on the Switch 2 yet, actually. I should do that. But it's something where the storyline is great. It kind of kicks off the Nintendo Xenoblade universe. It kind of separate itself farther enough from the Xenogears series to give you something on its own. And we've gotten every Xenoblade Chronicles game released now on the Switch. We got 1, 2, and 3, and Torna. We also got Xenoblade Chronicles X, which originally released on the Wii U. And all of them are fantastic, but this is the one I put the most time into. And as much as I love Xenoblade Chronicles X, and for the longest time I said that was my favorite Xenoblade game, I think this one might be taking the crown. It's a really wonderful game, some amazing characters in it. Shulk is awesome. It's just a cool title, and it's something that, to me, it feels like a signature Switch experience now. It's not something where I feel like the original release is one that is the definitive edition, or is the edition that we should measure it against. I think this is probably the best version of it ever released now. One that I'd never played before, and I kind of am ashamed by that because they were on the Vita, which I loved, but I just never saw them here over in up in Michigan or down in Florida when I lived there. And that's the Trails of Cold Steel series, and this is Trails of Cold Steel 3. Love this franchise. Absolutely think it's fantastic. We've gotten most, if not all of them, released on the Switch now. We might not have 1 and 2 yet. At least here in the US. But they're amazing RPGs, very heavy JRPGs, so if you don't like JRPGs, mosey on down the aisle, folks. But if you do, check them out. The gameplay is signature turn-based JRPG, but you're actually able to kind of move your characters around on the battlefield and reposition them for advantageous attacks. The power-ups are awesome, the look is great, the storyline is fun. It's just a really great series, and I love these games. They're magnificent, and every single one I played has been really fun, but 3 is the first one I played, so you dance to the one that brought you, and that's the one I played the most. Next up, one of the best arcade ports on the Nintendo Switch, and one that to me is just a signature gaming experience on the Switch. It's supposed to be great on the Switch 2. I haven't booted it up there yet, but there's a couple channels I've seen that have played it on the Switch 2, and the frame rates are capped, and they're fantastic, and it looks great, super smooth, and that's Cruis Blast. It is not a deep game by any stretch of the imagination. Not a deep game at all. About as deep as a puddle, if I'm being honest with you, but it's cruising. You go fast, you go straight, you drift, you boost, you can be a dinosaur at times. It's wonderful. There's all kinds of chaos going on in the background of the levels, and it's just a blast. It's one of the best racing games on the Switch, one of my favorite games, and just so worth playing, and just something that I think is a marvelous addition to the Switch library, and something that is just fun. It's one of those games kind of like Star Wars Pinball, where it's one of those games I always carry with me because it's a perfect way to kill 15 minutes on a lunch break if I'm at a work event, or 10 minutes if I'm on a train going somewhere, or if I'm in an Uber going to a dinner or something like that. It's a great way to do it like that. All right, this one gets on the list because it's a collection of some of my favorite RPGs of all time, and they're all beautifully redone here on the Nintendo Switch. And it's Final Fantasy 1 through 6 Pixel remasters. Love the games. Every single one of them is fantastic. I did a ranking video on that if you'd like to check it out. Link is on screen right now. It's actually ranking every single Final Fantasy game on the Nintendo Switch, with the exception of World of Final Fantasy 15, or whatever the Final Fantasy 15 game is that's on the Switch, just because I couldn't be asked up to play it. It's a great collection, though. It's got my favorite Final Fantasy on it. It's got Final Fantasy 6. 1 through 6 are all great. They're all remastered to look beautiful. Great menu selections. Lots of quality of life improvements. It's a great collection. And all of the games play better. There's auto battle on all of them now, so don't feel like you have to just sit there and grind. You can just turn auto battle on and go. It's a really awesome game like that. I think it does take a little bit of the sense of accomplishment out of it if you have auto battle on, but I'm also an adult now and don't have hours upon hours upon hours to devote to a JRPG to grind the Giant's Corridor in the Earth Cave to get all the money I possibly can. Auto battle's nice in that regard. Next up, the game that made me a believer in Kirby. I was not a huge Kirby fan until this game. I appreciated him. I wasn't a Kirby fan at all at the start of this generation. And then I did a Kirby ranking video, and I kind of gained an appreciation for the character. But the game that made me really love Kirby, outside of Kirby Tilt and Tumble, is Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Talk about just out of nowhere, something that I did not expect to enjoy nearly as much as I did. Something that is stunning to look at, has incredible gameplay, and doesn't betray the core Kirby concept. Like, it doesn't feel like it's out of place in the Kirby universe whatsoever. It's just fun. It's just fantastic. And even with like the weird body horror stuff of like absorbing a vending machine or a car or anything like that, or the one that really gets me, that was like, it gives me the skeevies, is when he gets the like the air paddle, and when he shoots like the air gusts out of him, when he's got like the air cannon absorption, I guess. That's the one that, I don't know why that one bothers me the most, but the gameplay itself is fantastic. It's a beautiful looking game. Really looking forward to the Switch 2 upgrade when it comes out, and just looking forward to spending more time with it. It's a wonderful game. I haven't beaten it yet. I need to go back to it. I don't know the number of hours I have into it. It might actually not be one of my most played games, but it is one that is, I think, one of the best representations of the Switch at the very least, and something that I feel is a signature experience, and it feels like I put a lot of time into it at the very least. How's that? Okay. I don't know how much got lost there. So it's so hot in Michigan today that my camera overheated in the middle of filming, and I had to use my thumbs up emoji ice pack to cool it off so I could finish the video. Heat waves are no joke, folks. Stay safe. I know it's going to be over 100 degrees on the East Coast next couple days. So as someone who's just gone through it here in Michigan, be safe. Drink lots of fluid. Stay inside. Anyway, an RPG I know I spent a ton of time with, and one that I absolutely love, that I think launched a great franchise, and I think at least I hope Square Enix keeps it going, is the original Octopath Traveler. I loved the sequel as well. The second game is great, but I haven't put as much time into that as I did with the first one. That was one of, I think, the real signature RPGs, the first real signature RPGs that I bought on the console, and it's one that my kid loved. I love. Anyone I know that has played it has really enjoyed it. It is one of the most visually stunning games on the Switch, and it's been well received everywhere it's gone. It's also on other consoles. So if you're not a Switch gamer and you're curious about it, be sure to check it out elsewhere. But amazing game, absolutely one of my favorites. One that I was fortunate enough to know someone that worked on this one, and seeing my friend CD post about it was something that I was really excited about, and I really wanted to try. And as it ends up, it's just an amazing game, and that is New Super Lucky's Tale. The original Super Lucky's Tale was released on the Xbox One. This is the remaster of it, and the re-release that has some additional gameplay elements, some cleaned up aspects of it, and it's phenomenal. It's an incredibly charming 3D platformer. It is a throwback, a loving throwback to classic 3D platformers of the olden days of the N64 and PS1 generation. It just looks incredible. The graphics on it are fantastic. Literally one of my best and favorite games on the Switch. Absolutely amazing title. One that I think is an exemplary game and one of the best RPGs ever made, and something that I wish more games took a cue from this one. This is Dragon Quest XI's Echoes of an Elusive Age, and one of my favorite things that it does is it actually has loading screens that catch you up to let you know where you were when you start the game back up, because as we all know, we get busy. We're adults. Sometimes we aren't able to play as often as we'd like, and we have to put a game down for a little while. So being able to pick Dragon Quest XI's back up, be told, hey, you're here, you're doing this, play this, do this, it's amazing. And the game is fantastic. Like, it is classic Akira Toriyama, rest in peace. The amazing Dragon Quest story, signature Dragon Quest enemies throughout. It's just an excellent title, and a really remarkable example of amazing RPGs from Square Enix. All right, we have now entered the Mario zone, and I almost put Super Mario 3D All-Stars in here, but that, honestly, the only thing I've really played on that is Mario Sunshine. And the three I want to include here are three of my absolute favorites. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is fantastic. That was one of my favorite Wii U games, and it's been a joy to go back through it on the Nintendo Switch. I haven't got to the Bowser's Fury section yet. You can actually check out my friend Aldo, who does the Norwalk Public Library Video Game Club. He played through this recently. You can go back and check his archive of live streams, and you can see all of his work on the Bowser's Fury section. It was pretty cool to watch. He's a great dude, too. And anytime you can support a local library, you should do it. Libraries are important. They're a great community service for all kinds of people, not just me, not just you. It's great for people who are unhoused to be able to go and to use the internet to apply for jobs. It is great for the elderly to get help with technology. It is And books are awesome. Read more books. Next up, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, which is, I think, one of the best 2D Marios ever made. They took some chances. They switched the gameplay up. They had the signature 2D Mario experience in there, which is amazing, but they also weren't afraid to take some risks, especially when you got to the flower levels, when you tried to get those different flowers on each one where they threw some different gameplay elements at you. I thought it was really cool. Some of the power-ups I didn't really care for, but that's kind of true with every Mario game. I don't like every single power-up, but I do love that game overall. And God, it's so hot, I can't talk. And finally, we have Super Mario Odyssey, which, as far as I'm concerned, is the greatest 3D Mario game ever made. It is picture perfect from top to bottom. It is incredible on the original Switch. It is a masterpiece on the Switch 2, running at 60 frames per second. It looks incredible, handheld and in TV on 4K. It is just, it's wonderful. And if you haven't played it, you should, because it's that good. All right, the last two, and what I think, outside of games like Breath of the Wild and Animal Crossing and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, are my two most played games. They're very different in their approaches to how they're played. One is an action-packed roguelike, and one is a deep strategy game. And we're going to go strategy first, and then I'm going to give you my most played game on the Switch, something that I have played literally every week since it's released. The most played strategy game I have on the Switch is Fire Emblem Three Houses. I don't think it's a stretch for me to say that is one of my top two games on the console. Not only in terms of hours played, because I have now played through with all three houses. Actually, I'm working on the fourth house now, the Gray House. That was the DLC. I have played through with every house. I have worked every story arc imaginable. I have tried to get my favorite characters into the different houses to have them be there, so I can have my ultimate house, basically. I have enjoyed the Three Hopes expansion, the Fire Emblem Warriors Three Hopes game. It is something where I just absolutely love the concept behind Three Houses. I think it is executed nearly flawlessly. It is challenging in all the right ways. It is irreverent in all the right ways. It is also incredibly emotional and incredibly impactful in all the right ways. It is what is, I think, one of the greatest Fire Emblem games ever made, and something that I will play for years to come. Now, the one I have easily, probably consistently played the most on the Nintendo Switch since its release is Hades. I am a huge fan of Greek mythology. I have been since I was a child, so anything where you're going to have Greek mythology involved, I am, chances are, going to be very interested in it, or at least intrigued by the concept. I also love roguelikes, so I was already predisposed to enjoy this game, and to get something as quality as this is, with a deeply resonant storyline, a great sense of humor, a collection of beautiful levels and fantastic gameplay, and memorable characters from like top to bottom, whether you're talking allies or enemies or just NPCs. It's something where I think everyone should play it. It's an important title. It is something where I am a huge fan of Supergiant's work. I loved Bastion. This is something where I really think they showed off what they're incredibly capable of and how good they are at producing a masterpiece of a video game. This is truly one of my favorite games of all time, and something that I will never stop playing because I just love it so much. There's always the chance to have one better run, and it's once you get to the point where you get into the rhythm of the game and you start to understand the aspects of the game and the weaknesses of the different bosses and how to fight the bosses and things like that, it goes from being a contest against the game itself to being a contest against yourself, to better your previous runs. So it almost turns you into a speedrunner, which is really interesting, even though I'm decidedly not a speedrunner. I'm not that good at it, but it is something where I look at the game and I am just enthralled with everything it does. It is by far my favorite Switch game. It's a masterpiece. There you have it. My most played Nintendo Switch games. It's kind of all over the map. A lot of first-party stuff, I will admit. It's Nintendo. That's going to happen. But I think there's some pretty fun indie stuff on here as well. What are your most played Switch games? Let me know in the comments down below. If you're new here, click the thumbs up. The likes really do help the channel out. The engagement is appreciated. And if you dug this, stick around. I'm going to be doing some Switch 2 content moving forward. Switch 1 content isn't dead. Don't worry about that. It'll still happen. There's definitely still some stuff in there. I want to milk it for all it's worth. I'm a content creator, man. It happens. Until next time, folks, I've been Jay. I appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me. I hope you have a great week. And until next time, remember to play more games, stay square, and take care. I'll talk to you soon.